Hi everyone, I am here with a true story for you. This one has an anonymous quote before it. It says, "What you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God." This story is called Silent Partner. God never abandons us, but sometimes He permits valleys in our lives so we may more readily look up at Him. Perhaps this is why Lou Baker, a longtime alcoholic, went through 2 heart attacks and subsequent bypass surgery, along with diabetes, all during the same brief period in 1982. At that time, I knew of God, but I did not know Him personally, Lou says. However, his health problems served as a wake-up call. While recovering, Lou began to read scripture and listen to the experiences of those who had been spiritually renewed. Gradually, his heart thawed. In March of 1983, I received Jesus into my heart and began to develop the close personal relationship that I now have with Him, Lou says. At this moment of conversion, Lou also promised Jesus that he would spend the rest of his life helping others to kick drugs and alcohol. A few years later, Lou, a long-distance truck driver based in upstate New York, was assigned to haul material for a road building job in Maryland. To avoid heavy traffic, drivers often traveled at night. One evening at about 11, Lou pulled out with a 28-ton load of concrete panels. It was a large cargo, but he wasn't apprehensive. His truck bore a "God is my co-pilot" bumper sticker, and with his faith growing deeper every day, what was there to fear? About halfway across Pennsylvania, the steering seemed to be loosening up, and the whole front end of the truck acted like it was floating on air, Lou says, but he pulled onto the shoulder, placed some warning flares, and checked everything he could. 3 other truckers also stopped to help, but they found nothing. Lou drove carefully to the next truck stop, but by now everything seemed to be fine. Mechanics there could find no problem either. Had it been his imagination? Lou reached the job site in southern Maryland safely, and once again had his truck checked. Nothing. Nor was there any difficulty on his way back to New York. When I arrived there, I reported the happenings to my supervisor, Lou says. He assigned me a different truck until mine could be thoroughly checked out. 4 days and 3 mechanics later, Lou's truck was checked out. Returned to him, no one had found anything to fix. For the next few months, I continued to drive back and forth from New York to Maryland, with an occasional flutter or strange light filling in the steering. Lou says, deep down I knew something was wrong, but I got laughed at whenever I mentioned it. Instead, he kept his growing concern to himself and prayed even more frequently than usual. One day, Lou was assigned a heavy load of concrete to bring to Finger Lakes area of upstate New York. The trip was uneventful until he passed the tiny village of Watkins Glen. The highway was cut out of solid rock on the side of the mountain, Lou says. Traveling up this steep, narrow road, I had solid rock on my right. On my left were drop-offs of 300 feet or more into a lake so deep that in some places the bottom has never been reached. The truck engine ran hot and the radiator boiled as his truck strained to reach the top. Again, the front end of the truck seemed light. Whenever Lou hit bumps or a rough stretch of road, It felt as if it were lifting off the ground. Finally, Lou reached his destination, made the delivery, and drove back to the shop. He pulled around to the back to have his truck serviced for the next day. I opened the hood and climbed up on the frame to check the water and oil, he says. As I climbed back down, I started to slip, and my hand went down against the steering gearbox mounted inside the frame. As Lou watched in disbelief, the whole box swung completely away from its mounting plate. All 8 bolts were entirely sheared off, and from their rusted ends, Lou realized they had been disconnected for a long time. He had driven over 5,500 miles with a gearbox hanging in the air instead of controlling the truck's steering. Why mechanics had not found it, why he had not lost control of the truck, especially during his mountain climb, was something he could not answer. The next day, Lou removed his "God is my co-pilot" bumper sticker. I knew then that God is my pilot, he says, and he hasn't forgotten it. Today, Lou is a counselor in 3 state prisons and 2 county jails, bringing hope and spiritual faith to inmates there. He can tell them with complete assurance that no one travels through life alone. He knew for sure God was driving that truck, not him. God wasn't just helping him, God was doing all the work. God saved his life that day. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's stories. Good night, guys.